The incredible true story of how my deceitful wife and her con artist boyfriend tried to steal my cars and lost absolutely everything. My wife dumped me via a 2-sentence text message while I was working a 6-month stint on a deep-sea oil rig in the Gulf. She drained our joint savings account and moved her new boyfriend right into our house. I replied with exactly 2 words, "Message received." When she realized the absolute nightmare I had set up for her, it was entirely too late. We had been married for 7 years, but I wasn't stupid. I had noticed the late-night phone calls, the random weekend getaways with her friends, and her sudden, intense interest in my classic car collection back home. Before I shipped out, I quietly moved the real titles to my 3 vintage muscle cars straight into a hidden safe deposit box at my local credit union. I also installed hidden, motion-activated cameras all across my private garage. A week after the breakup text, my phone buzzed. Someone had just withdrawn $45,000, wiping out our entire emergency fund. I just sighed, took a sip of my coffee, and opened up my security app. The live feed showed a guy I didn't know, wearing my favorite leather jacket, drinking my expensive bourbon, and leaning against my 1967 Shelby Mustang. Chloe was right there next to him, laughing like they had just hit the lottery. I didn't get mad. I got incredibly, almost terrifyingly cold. I called my older brother, who happens to be a detective with the state police, and we started digging. Turns out, the new guy's name was Trent, and Trent had a very long, very documented history of scamming women whose husbands traveled for a living. 2 months later, I took early leave. I didn't warn Chloe. I just checked into a cheap motel and met my brother for a beer. He slid a heavy manila folder across the table. He looked at me and said, "She forged your signature, Marcus. She signed over the titles to all 3 cars to one of Trent's shell companies. They are trying to auction them off on Friday for $250,000. I smiled, a dark, icy smile. "Well," I said, "let's let them try." The next morning, I walked straight into the Department of Motor Vehicles Fraud Unit. I showed them my government ID, the real titles from my safe deposit box, and the forged documents. The investigator's jaw practically hit the floor. Meanwhile, my brother got the feds involved. Trent wasn't just a petty con artist. He was running a massive interstate stolen vehicle ring, and my cars were supposed to be his crown jewels. On Friday afternoon, Trent and Chloe were standing proudly in my driveway, waiting for their high-rolling buyer to show up with a briefcase full of cash. Instead, 3 black SUVs ripped into the cul-de-sac, and a dozen heavily armed federal agents swarmed the property. I sat in my truck, parked safely down the street, watching through binoculars as they dragged Trent out in handcuffs. He was screaming at Chloe, blaming her for the entire thing. She just stood there, crying on the lawn, watching her entire life absolutely crumble. Trent got 10 years in federal prison for racketeering and grand theft. Chloe got slapped with felony fraud, but took a plea deal. She is currently working 2 minimum wage jobs just to pay off the massive legal fees and the court-ordered restitution she owes me. As for me, I sold the house, packed up my Shelby Mustang, and bought a beautiful piece of land out in the Arizona desert. Life is peaceful, the weather is perfect, and my garage is finally off limits.